David Grasso here at Salt with a very familiar face. Valerie Jarrett, how are you doing?
I am great, Dave. How are you?
Good. A little bird told me, in fact, you told me you have a book?
I do have a book. I just published a new book. It's called Finding My Voice, from my journey from the West Wing and the path forward.
And how did you find your voice?
Oh, it was a long trek. It really was.
Isn't it always a long trek?
It really. I used to be painfully shy. Can you believe that?
You don't seem shy at all.
I know. I can't shut up. But when I was much younger, I was shy and I didn't trust the quiet voice inside of me, and I kind of was doing what was conventionally expected. I was practicing law at a big law firm, bored to tears.
Wait, that's not glamorous?
Oh, it may have been glamorous, but it wasn't my cup of tea. And that was part of the problem. Everybody was like, oh, you should be so happy, you should be thriving, what's wrong with you?
Of course.
And I swerved outside of that comfort zone, and I joined city government. And I started working as a lawyer for the city of Chicago. And I became this fierce advocate, particularly for people who didn't have a voice.
Wow.
And that's really where I started finding my voice, is really in public service.
So let's talk about that. That's something that's more in the mainstream now. Introverts, being an introvert, surviving in an extroverted world.
Yeah.
What do you do if I'm the most extroverted person
No
you'll ever
kidding.
meet?
I gotta pick that up a little bit.
Right, yeah. But for the rest of us who are introverts, I'm married to one, you know.
It's hard, it's painful, and I think part of what you have to do is you have to say, I can get more comfortable. It doesn't have to be a permanent state. I mean, I can learn to do public speaking, for example, which I used to blush, and my hands would perspire, and the ink on my hands would get smushed, but I did it. And then one time my mom said to me, just because you're nervous doesn't mean you have to show it. You could just act like you're
confident. Actually, people don't usually notice when you're nervous.
Well, they don't, unless you're blushing, and then they do a little bit.
You're beet red.
But yeah, exactly. And I used to get beet red, but she just said, like relax and pretend that you're having fun. And then after enough pretending, I actually started having fun. So I think the point is you got to practice. You can't just say, because it was hard the first time, that you're not going to try it again.
So let's talk a little bit about public service. We have a problem in today's world that a lot of our most talented don't go into public service.
I know.
How can we work to change that? Because obviously you've made a career out of public service, found it very satisfying.
Yes.
Do you think other people would enjoy that same type of success if they really poured their heart into it?
I think so, and if you care about your community, I started local in government in Chicago, and I could see the faces of the people who I was trying to help, and I found it very rewarding. But I always say to people, just try it. You don't have to make it a lifelong career. I've spent half my life in the private sector, half in the public sector, and they both built on one another and reinforced one another. I learned a lot when I was working for the government that helped me when I was in the private sector, and I learned a lot in the private sector that helped me in government. And I think if you care about our country and you see the importance of service, why wouldn't you try and give a little bit of time to public service?
So you were in the highest echelons of public service. Do you really feel like you made a difference? Do you go out and say, I did X project and it produced Y outcome?
I think our team made a huge difference by every possible metric. Our country was better off after President Obama was in office than before. Cut the unemployment rate in half, 20 million people had health care, 150,000 people came back from war, established relationships with important allies around the world that enabled us to get a deal to keep Iran from getting nuclear weapons, to reestablish relationships with Cuba, reduce our dependence, eliminate our dependence on foreign oil, bring Osama bin Laden to justice. How much time do you have? I could go on and on. And one of the areas I spent a lot of time fighting is gender equity. And I think we're seeing a paradigm shift. Even here at SALT, there are more women, not enough, but more women than in the years I have come before. And I think there's a recognition on behalf of business that we're leaving a lot of talent on the sidelines if we're not doing everything possible to create an environment where working families, men and women, can thrive.
So your advice for young people who want to get involved in public service is start local like you did?
I say start local, but I also say it doesn't really matter where. I like local because I think what you learn in local government is that your constituents are proximate. I mean, they are right in your face. They would be stalking me in the grocery store while I would be
Hi, Valerie.
playing with my daughter. I mean, and it's 24/7. And that's what it should be. That's what public service means. That's what it means to be a public servant. And so that's a great training ground, I think. But hey, if you have an opportunity to intern in the White House, take it. That's kind of what my attitude is. Wherever you start in government, you're going to learn about service, and then you can figure out where you go from there. I don't think you have to have it all planned out. I had a stupid 10-year plan when I was coming out of college.
So throw the 10-year plan in the garbage?
Yeah, I think so. Well, it's okay to have it. but recognize that you're going to swerve and that the adventure is in the swerve.